When the sun rose on the fields of Antietam in September 1862, it revealed the most dreadful slaughter our young nation had ever seen. Yet out of that river of blood came a new purpose, one that would transform the war itself. Until then, the struggle had been fought for union, to preserve a single country from tearing itself apart. After Antietam, President Abraham Lincoln gave it another cause: freedom. I was in Washington when the news spread that Lincoln would issue a proclamation against slavery. For months, whispers had circulated through the Capitol. Some said he would act, others doubted. He had moved cautiously, aware that many in the North fought only to save the Union, not to end slavery. The border states still clung to the Union uneasily, and a bold step might drive them out. But Lincoln had waited for a moment of strength, and Antietam, though a grim victory, gave him that chance. On September 22, 1862, he issued the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation. I stood outside the White House as the words were read. The crowd listened in stunned silence. The president declared that as of January 1, 1863, all slaves in states still in rebellion would be thenceforward, and forever free. The reactions were mixed, as fierce as musket fire. Abolitionists cheered, their faces shining with joy. I saw Frederick Douglass himself, tall and commanding, speaking in churches and halls, declaring that the war was at last made holy. But others cursed Lincoln as a tyrant. Northern Democrats warned of racial upheaval, claiming the proclamation would flood the North with freed slaves. Soldiers in camp muttered uneasily. Some welcomed the new cause, others swore they had not enlisted to fight for emancipation. In the South, the reaction was fury. Newspapers denounced Lincoln as a monster. Planters raged at the threat to their way of life. Yet among the enslaved, word spread like wildfire. I traveled through Virginia that autumn and heard it whispered in cabins and fields. Freedom is coming. The president has promised many fled to Union lines, risking capture and death for a chance at liberty. They called themselves contrabands, seeking refuge in camps where they built new lives from nothing. When January 1st arrived, I was in Washington once more. The day was cold, the air crisp with anticipation. Crowds gathered, waiting for news. In the executive mansion, Lincoln signed the final Emancipation Proclamation with a steady hand. His signature trembled only because of the hours he had spent shaking hands that morning. He paused, then said, "If my name ever goes into history, it will be for this act, and my whole soul is in it." That evening, churches across the North rang their bells. In Boston, throngs filled the streets, singing hymns of praise. In New York, African Americans wept openly, embracing strangers, shouting hallelujahs. Even in distant corners of the Union, in frontier towns and lonely farmhouses, people lit candles in their windows to mark the birth of freedom. Yet the proclamation was not universal. It did not free slaves in the loyal border states, nor in areas of the South already under Union control. It was, in truth, limited. But its power was not in what it freed immediately. It was in what it declared forever. From that moment, the Union fought not only for survival, but for liberty. Every advance of Union troops became an advance of freedom. Every battle won meant shackles broken. I visited an encampment of freedmen that winter, just beyond the Rappahannock River. Families huddled in rough shelters, children clothed in rags, men eager to enlist in the Union Army. They carried little but hope. One old man told me, tears running down his cheeks, "I never thought to live free. But now I die a free man, and my children after me will never know chains." I wrote those words carefully, for they seemed to me the very spirit of the proclamation. The Confederacy, meanwhile, saw the proclamation as a call to arms against their entire society. European nations once tempted to recognize Southern independence hesitated now. Britain and France, who had abolished slavery, could not openly support a nation fighting to preserve it. Lincoln's words reshaped not only America, but the world's perception of the war. Still, freedom was no simple promise. In the camps, freed slaves often suffered hunger and disease. Some were exploited, others despised. Yet thousands joined the Union Army, forming the United States Colored Troops. I saw them drilling in blue uniforms, their faces proud, their muskets gleaming. They knew the risks. Capture could mean re-enslavement or death. But they marched with determination, singing songs of deliverance. Looking back, I believe the Emancipation Proclamation was the true turning point of the war. Antietam had shown us the cost, but Lincoln gave us the cause. Without it, the Union might have survived. But with it, the Union was reborn. That night, as I wrote my dispatch, I ended with these words: "The war began to preserve a nation. It now continues to redeem its soul." The proclamation has changed the meaning of America forever.